Holly McCann coming to you inside one of my house flips in Dana Point with Jay Moceri, who's here to give us some education about termites and other things that can be harmful to your home and that also impact you in your home sale or purchase. So today it's mostly about termites and fungus and all that sexy, glamorous stuff. So thanks for being here today, Jay.
Happy to be here. Happy to help.
So we're going to start out today by showing you some live examples of drywood termites, subterranean termites, and fungus and what it looks like. Because people are often like, is it real? The guy just goes around and pokes my house and he's just poking holes in it. So he's going to show us what it really looks like. Let's go take a look.
All right, here we go. This is a great example. We're going to kind of skinny through here and get over to here because this is what subterraneans do. They love to eat. Termites just eat and then they eat. So we can see all this damage.
That used to be wood. It's not paper.
That right there used to be as solid as that.
Wow.
And so subterranean colonies can literally, and Formosa can get up to into the millions. It's an amazing how much a subterranean queen could be. Is typically about 6 feet under the soil, and she could be up to 300 yards away from the actual property where the termites are eating.
Oh my gosh, that's a powerful queen.
Yeah, powerful queen.
With a big domain. Huh?
I can really gross you out. She's only about this big, but the back that produces the eggs is about the size of a submarine sandwich. It's really gross looking.
Yeah.
And
so what attracts the subterranean termites? And is there anything you can do to repel them or prevent them?
Yeah, great. So water, any kind of slab leak, pools, water fixtures, koi ponds, fountains, all that stuff, sprinklers outside, not over saturating the soil. I mentioned on my reports, if I see that, hey, there's a lot of moisture here, you should really consider having your gardener turn it down or whatever it might be to keep it. So that's the biggest thing. Now, as far as the preventative measure, and I've done this for people, is we do something called a full perimeter, where we go around the entire house, because usually the queen's somewhere from outside, and we actually put a barrier around the house with a product that is a transfer technology product, and it has a residual of a minimum of 5 years.
Wow.
It's been found in the soil active for up to 10 years later.
Okay.
So it has a lot of value for long-term care. And when the termites go through it to come in to eat on your home, they'll go back, because all termite colonies are colony-based, which means they always rotate back to the queen. All the workers have to go back to the queen. And in doing so, if they have this product on them, it leaves them alive for 8 to 10 weeks.
Oh.
And in that time, they're like, high five, buddy, I'm going to see the queen. You go that way, I'll go this way. They go service the queen. The next thing you know, 8 to 10 weeks later, everybody's not feeling so well. And it's pretty much over for the colony.
Wow. That sounds like the way to do it.
Oh, it's very effective. In fact, the last study with UC Berkeley and UC Riverside, year-long independent studies, put this product Fipronil, or Fipronil is the way it's pronounced, at the top of the list as the most effective localized treatment product. It's the only product I use in my company.
Okay.
Because I want to be most effective. I want to give you the greatest value. Pun intended.
Value termite. Yes. So let's go check out some other examples. Let's go see where the drywood ones are.
Okay. You know what? There's one I left.
Oh.
And I'm going to show you something. If we go to the front here, I kind of put a little marking on it, and you're going to get to see how there's a little bit greater, hopefully, here we go. I'm going to keep using this pun, value in the way that I do an inspection, or our company does. So for drywoods, these are called rafter tails up underneath here.
Right.
Okay. And this goes, it's a tail from here to there. And then above that, that's the rafters that carry the load of the roof. By the way, I was a contractor, so I understand a little bit more about framing than the average guy. But I have a special made probe. And when I drag this probe, if you listen, like this is a solid one. If you listen on this one, you can hear it.
It's hollow.
And then watch this when I do this. You got to get why it's going to be a fountain.
Wow. So is that the termite droppings, all that powder?
That is, yes, that's technically something called frass. So here's an interesting note about frass. Frass is actually wood, cellulose, that could not be digested by a termite.
Okay.
They take a bite, they don't masticate it, they just swallow it, goes into their digestive tract. They get all the yummy stuff. For them is sap and moisture out of it, which they live on.
Okay.
And then what they cannot digest turns into what we call frass, which is this termite pellet. But did you see that thing looked just as solid as this one did?
It sure did.
But right behind the paint, they have been partying and eating and smorgasbording on that piece of wood.
Okay.
I like to tell people the wood is like the hamburger, and the paint is like a hamburger wrapper. And we don't like to eat hamburger wrappers, and neither do they, because they get no nutrition out of it. But they're busy right behind it. They'll eat within a millimeter
Of the paint.
of the paint, and you don't know. Your house looks great. It looks like it's all painted and pretty, but you saw how dramatic that can be from what you saw to what really is going on there.
So they got in not from the paint side, but from another location, do you think? Or they penetrate the paint anyway?
All eaves are considered rough framing. It's not finished carpentry.
Right.
And in those eaves, it's kind of hard to see, but you can look up into here and you can see the space right into there. There's a little bit of gap right there. And some of these, there'll be gaps in between these things here.
And that's where they like to go.
Any gap is an opportunity for them to get in.
And these are drywood termites, right?
Yes. Yeah, we had initially subterranean. On this, now we're seeing drywood termites. And then the other primary wood destroying organism that goes on reports is something right in the front of the house.
Yeah, let's see that one.
So this here is fungus damage. Fungus damage occurs because some moisture, probably from this strip edge, got into the wood. All woods have some spore in it. And the thing that activates this spore is moisture. So a great thing to do is make sure that you have things that seal off, that doesn't allow moisture to get in. And if you're going to replace a board, the actual best thing to inhibit the ability from a spore from activating is to borate that board. Borates are an engineered high-density salt water that gets applied, and it's at a rate that will instantly kill a termite. Gets inside their stomach, burns a hole in it, basically. It'd be like you or I eating a pound of salt. We couldn't digest and get nutrient. And then it'll also inhibit the fungus damage, because what it does is it takes the acidity with the water in and kills the spore rather than activating it. So there are methods that you can do in your home to help inhibit the ability whenever you have to replace wood or something like that.
Okay, we've got a few more questions. I want to make sure we cover section 1 and section 2, what that means.
Awesome.
And tenting versus localized treatment, because as a realtor for the last 9 years, almost every house I've ever seen has, and we can talk about tenting versus no tenting first, and then section 1, section 2. Almost every termite report I see recommends tenting, and almost, I think every single house that I've ever sold in Orange County, and they're typically, at least 20 years old, they have termites.
Absolutely.
Termites love our weather.
Yes.
And they love to put down roots and have a home or a colony.
Yeah.
So maybe you could speak to section 1, section 2, and tenting versus localized.
Let's go for the tenting. And boy, is this a controversial one. So tenting is the state's primary recommendation.
The state of California.
The state of California that holds my license as an operator for termite, wood destroying organisms, that is. When you go to take this test, if you get into a pre-test course, I remember they would ask like every half hour, upon finding infestation, what is the primary recommendation? And the whole class every half an hour would say, fumigation. Right. So the state is very big on their primary recommendation to fumigate. If you find one wing, you find one piece of frass, you find one piece of damage, fumigate that home, unless you've seen that there has been a fumigation in a period of time prior to that. I think it's within a year or two.
Okay.
So I understand that. And in every report I do, I tell the people to fumigate their homes. I also know the state gives us the opportunity to do something called a secondary method. And in my paperwork, even by their recommendation, I have to call it substandard. Okay. So I do that. I give the homeowner the opportunity to choose one or the other. And then I show them the pros and cons of what comes with that when they're choosing one thing. And I try to be very on the education side. I'm not really telling them what to do. I'm giving them the choice, and they make the choice to either fumigate or do localized treatment. With a fumigation, there is zero residual. That means the day after you fumigate that home,
here they come again, right?
new infestation, if it's a swarming season, which is spring and fall, that's 6 months.
Yeah.
Spring and fall, right? That they can come. And you could literally take the tent off and have them fly in that next day. And it takes 2 to 3 years for it to manifest. So if you get a 2-year warranty, the day afterwards, they're in. You don't know it because you didn't see it happen because you didn't see this happen.
Right.
And the next thing you know, while you're sleeping, they're eating.
Yeah. Damage
is being done. And that fumigation that left no residual has not prevented in any way the further infestation. It's interesting. I tell people, like, if you fumigate your house, it's not like there's some sort of magical clear dome over it that says, hey, we fumigated. This house is under warranty. You can't come eat here. So that would be really kind of ridiculous to think that way. And yet a lot of people do say, hey, just fumigate it every 5 years. Well, how much damage can get done in 5 years? I know, I've seen it. There's a lot, and we want to avoid damage.
And fumigation often leads to broken roof tiles, right?
Okay, so I do full roofs through GPA Roofing, and yes, it does. And even there's another thing that even is deeper than just the roof tiles. The roof tiles underneath it has something called underlayment.
Yeah.
And if the underlayment gets even the slightest tear that goes through to the substrate underneath that,
that's your waterproofing. It's ruined.
It's gone.
Yeah.
So you could actually walk on it, step on something. If the paper's worn, the tile didn't even break, but maybe the pressure broke the paper. The next big rain season, you may have a roof leak.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, the factor of that. I mean, the state knows that when you do a fumigation, you're going to move out. That actually supports another industry, doesn't it? And if you got puppies or dogs or cats, that supports another industry.
Yep.
And if you break roof tiles, that supports another industry. The amount that it goes up is exponential. It's not just the cost of the fumigation.
Right. Yeah.
Now, I do fumigate houses. I've fumigated banks. I've fumigated complexes.
Yeah.
If it's necessary, should be done. Ultimately, the education and the decision is on the person who is going to sign the work authorization. I give that opportunity based on the best education, as if it was my house, my money, and my future and my education, what I would do for that customer.
Yeah. Well, let's take it inside to finish up our conversation.
Sure.
Let's go back to what is Section 1 and Section 2 of a termite report.
Awesome. Section 1 and Section 2. Section 1 are items where we have infestation of any kind of wood-destroying organism. As we've discussed, we've got subterranean, we've got dry wood, we've got fungus damage. That also could include a carpenter ant, a carpenter beetle, carpenter bee. There's other things too. So those are the infestation or the damage that occurred from them. Those are things that the state says should be remediated.
Okay.
Get rid of the problem and then fix the problem that they created.
Yeah.
Yes, fix the root and the problem. That's a Section 1. So a Section 2 is considered a conducive condition. Okay, so if you see something, I can show you a quick example. This is really well, a great example of it is what I want to say. This water staining up here. All the staining that's going on here and here, that is a conducive condition because water attacks fungus and termite.
Okay.
See what I mean? So it's not that I'm seeing the wood solid. It's not having a problem. but that stain is saying, hey, there's something coming if you don't pay attention to this.
It could lead to a problem.
So there's many of them, faulty grades. If the dirt's coming back towards the house or up to what's called the weeps grade, where the house is supposed to be able to breathe out, you got to lower that grade. There's many conditions. Chip paint. If a house has a ton of chip paint in that area, the termites can get in or fungus damage can get in. So a great paint job is always a good thing to deter from these issues.
And speaking of paint jobs, quick reminder, if you're thinking of painting your house, get Jay or someone out to check it first, because if you are going to sell and you do need a termite clearance, not every sale requires a termite clearance, but if your buyer wants that, and then he comes along after it's painted and discovers the problems that are there, you're going to have to pay the painter probably to come back and repaint. So if you're thinking of a paint job, you might want to check for termites first. And Jay can most of the time do a termite remediation without a tent. So you don't have to pack up your kids, your animals, your plants and move out. He can do the localized treatment. So if you're considering that, this is the way to go. Like, definitely consider that. So
yeah, one note on that is when I do a localized treatment for an escrow, I still give a Section 1 clearance. I'm still saying I take responsibility, and you get a real warranty with that says if something comes up, I'm responsible for it for the entire year. With a fumigation, if new infestation comes in, those swarmers that are coming in, that's not covered under a fumigation warrant typically. And the state doesn't make you do that. So there's actually a better, I feel, warranty with a localized treatment compared to a fumigation against new infestation.
So if you guys want to contact Jay, all his contact info is below in the description. Definitely give him a call or text. You can get text at your number.
I love calls and texts.
Value Termite Construction. He's here for you to help you with all of your questions about termite. And also you do roofs and painting, right?
Yeah, I've been in construction for over 25 years, and I used to own a remodel company. I got into this because I saw there was such a need, and that unfortunately the lack of integrity in this industry wasn't, I didn't feel like there was people getting a fair shake on it.
Yeah, well, thanks for all of the education today, and glad you guys got to see some live termite action. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks so much. Bye.